We're live.
Are you three?
Yeah.
Hello.
All right. Hello and welcome back to the 406 Budcast, folks. Don't forget to hit that like, follow, share, and subscribe. We'll be right back.
406 Budcast gonna get you high. Adam and Tanaki and Nate bringing the heat. No time to wait. From the mountains to the plains, we're fucking up, break your chains. Every topic, every strain in this cannabis domain. 406 Budcast, let's celebrate. Rolling up, it's time to celebrate. Adam and Tanaki and Nate and Montana, we dominate. From the soul of the pillars, we're on the map. Lighting up the scene, ain't no cap. Hip-hop beats in the background as we drop knowledge profound. From CBD to THC, we're breaking down the chemistry in this podcast symphony. Come join our THC family.
We're back.
All right, guys, we're back. So we have a very exciting episode tonight. Quick introduction going on. I've got over here to my left, Miss Tanaki and her wonderful questions that'll be coming up. Behind the scenes over there, we've got Michelle and Hannah, of course, the two maestros that are keeping us up and running. Daniel across the way, and we've got, of course, Adam. And joining us tonight out there will be Elizabeth from Alternative Wellness, as well as Vibe Marketing and Events. Going to be telling us all about that fall crawl that's going on this weekend.
It's going to be exciting, man.
Yes, it is.
All right, we're going to add Miss Elizabeth.
There she is.
I'm right here. I ran to get one of those.
Got the poster board out.
We were actually just talking about the fall crawl a little bit. If I mean, you know, we're kind of just going into that. So do you want to give us a quick rundown of what's going on, Elizabeth?
Yeah. So sure. So there's two components to it. The main part, the actual fall crawl, is actually a free event. It doesn't cost anything to pick up a stamp card and take it into the 20 participating dispensaries. There's no purchase necessary to get that stamp, but I'm sure people will want to purchase because there's always some really great deals, and fun stuff going on. So that's the first way to do it. You can get all 20 stamps, and that's the stamp card. It lists all the dispensaries that are participating. And then on the back is where you can actually put the stamps. And if people could complete the stamp card and get all 20, they can bring it over to Vibe Marketing and Events up until the Monday after the crawl, so through the 21st, and drop it off, and they'll be entered into a raffle, which will announce the winner on our show the week after the crawl. And then the second way, what I think is the most fun way, is the VIP tour. And that's a bus tour. We did it last year, and it takes you around to this year it's 4 top participating dispensaries. And there's 2 tours, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So they'll be taking people around, getting all those special VIP deals, and little pre-party the night before and a party after, in between the buses. We'll have food trucks and all the good stuff. So it'll be fun.
That sounds really fun.
Very nice. So, Elizabeth, tell us a little bit about your background in history. I know that you've got quite a bit of history in the cannabis world and have done a lot.
Yeah, we go way back, right? So I started in the industry way back in 2009. So it's, I guess, 15 years now. It's a long time. And I started working in a dispensary. And that's how you and I met, I think, Nathan. And just kind of followed that along, worked in the dispensary, worked with the doctors doing clinics. And then in 2014, we founded, me and my 2 partners, Tara Holloway and Aaron Bell, we founded Alternative Wellness Montana. And so we are Montana's largest clinic we still write recommendations, medical card recommendations for people who want to keep their card. It's definitely a different beast since recreational, but they're still pretty good. There's still about 15,000 patients, which is surprising, but they're still hanging in there.
Wow.
Yeah. And then 2 years ago, we started Vibe Marketing and Events.
Yeah. So Vibe's out there on Grand Avenue here in Billings, where you've got your main location, but you also do events sort of around the Billings area, including the fall crawl, right?
Right. So we kind of do what, we're just starting out. So we're still trying all the things. Right. So our main spot is on Grand Avenue, but the fall is nice because it's just out there and people get to try all the places, and you guys get to meet new people, all the dispensaries and stuff. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, while we're on the fall crawl, man, we've got a video queued up for the fall crawl. You should take a quick look over at that.
Yeah.
All right.
Leaves are falling down tonight. Vibe energy's got the light. Cannabis crawl is so bright. Let's hit the town, feeling right. Roll it up and pass it around. Groove it through this party town. Every stop is so profound. Laugh and dance, feet on the ground. Roll crawl, it's the vibe we seek. Cannabis and the ladies before crawl. Oh, it's our treat. Join us on this wandering street. Dispensary to dispensary, good vibes in our memory. Clouds of joy, we're meant to be. Feeling free, feeling free. Hits of laughter, drops of fun. Nights of magic never done. Crawl with us until the sun, long after the last run. Fall crawl, it's the vibe we seek. Cannabis and the ladies before crawl. Oh, it's our treat. Join us on this wandering street.
All right. So that was just a brief little introduction with some information that, I mean, you had kind of already touched on with the fall crawl, some of the things going on with the sneak peek, the party, the whole nines right there, touch of the Abbey Road with the fall crawls, walking across the street there, What exactly, one thing I'm not sure if I'd heard yet, what is the mode of transportation? Is that going to be like a bus, or is it going to be like a caravan, or?
So for the VIP tour, it's a bus. And a lot of people, so last year, so the bus will take you around to the top 4 dispensaries, the VIP sponsors, but last year, a lot of people carpooled. So, to get out there. And I think one of our friends has kind of put together a little route for people too. The nice thing about it is everybody's kind of grouped up. There's more than one dispensary pretty much in each area. So, across billing. So that's kind of makes it a little nicer. So yeah, but carpooling is great.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us a little bit about your advocacy work?
Yeah, so it's still going on. I could tell you that when I started, my hair was brown. So yeah, we've been, advocating for patients' rights since, 2009. Well, it was 2011, because I guess that's when the raids happened. So, yeah, just trying to keep access for everybody. Be going up to Helena, hope to go up again in next legislatures. Yeah. So 2025, gonna go there.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's how do you feel about the patients having an ounce limit?
Yeah, so we would really like to see that removed. I think they should pretty much have the same limits as our recreational, counterparts across the board. It should be a daily limit, an ounce a day. There's no reason. I just see it more as a money grab, a tax grab. People are forced to buy on the recreational market. It just creates more revenue for the state. But unfortunately, the people that need the strongest cannabis in the highest doses are the patients, and they're not able to get it. And because even when you make them purchase on the rec market, they can't then buy RSO or things over a certain percentage or things over, as much THC. And so it's kind of it's just not good for them. And so it's a problem. And so we hope to maybe get that work on getting that corrected in the next session. So. Yeah,
it never really made any sense to me to have no upper limit on recreational, but an upper limit on medical. That's made me scratch my head since I started in the industry.
Well, I think like Elizabeth says, if you look at the math,
right,
that's what it was about. They didn't want you taking a 3% tax for an unlimited amount, roughly 30 ounces per month. Mm-hmm. They wanted to limit that and then put you into the rec market, which puts you into that 20% to 23%, bracket. So I think that's where it really broke down. So want to give a shout out to all the people out there in the chat real quick. Ty, we see you out there. Thanks for stopping by. Dallas, seeing you out there for sure. Adam, seeing you right across the table.
All right. I was just getting those tags in there, letting everybody know what's going on, man. And if you did not know, Dallas out there in the chat, he's going to be joining us next week. Episode 25. We're gonna be sitting down with the terpologist and talking all things terps, man.
Right on. Make sure that you're taking your friends, getting people in here, and especially make sure you come back next week because we've got some surprise. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later, though.
Absolutely.
What are we looking at? Oh,
got a mouse.
Oh, I was like, what are we pointing at on the floor? I was like,
we have a ratatouille in this studio.
oh
He's
shit,
just cruising across, bro. Like
Two socks.
he's just hanging out.
so. Yeah, we've got
Where's
Diesel when we need it?
Oh man,
got some country life in the studio out here,
Oh,
folks.
hey, right on. We actually have our Twitch viewer right now. How's it going? Dig site. I think that's what that says. Oh, Digs, by the way.
Diggs. By the way, we got
Diggs.
David Nieto, Waylon coming in there as well.
What's up, David? Waylon, the indoor farmer.
Yeah,
Right on.
yeah,
Cool.
that's actually another guest we're going to be having on soon. You know, he's working out the whole situation on whether he's actually going to be flying out to Montana or if he's going to be joining remote. You know, he's been wanting to get out this way and see the slopes and all kind of things like that. You know,
Need to
he's
get out
in
here and do some
Illinois.
skiing, bro. I hear it's going to be an epic winter this
Oh
week.
yeah, they say it's going to be a rough one.
Rough, epic. Depends on if you snowboard and ski or not.
That's exactly right. Get close enough to them hot springs and stuff like that up there in, White Sulphur Springs. Go hit the slopes, come down, hit the hot springs.
See, I'm trying not to hit the slopes, and that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah,
I've never hit the slopes, so I'm pretty sure when I hit it, I'm gonna hit it.
You just hit it on the days where they actually have like sledding and tubing going on. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, hitting the slopes turns that learning curve up fast. You will quickly stop hitting.
That's just we don't heal like we used to, So it's like when you hit some shit, you're down for days, and yeah.
That's a very reasonable compromise, Dallas. I mean, I'm sure we'd all like to see no limits, but that makes sense.
I honestly think that it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to have limits at this point. I mean, depending on how you grow, if you're growing 4 plants in your, your garden, you might be able to grow a couple of pounds per plant, or maybe a pound of
Depends on
plant
how
or
you're
whatever.
growing them.
Whereas somebody else may be able to grow an ounce, 2 ounces per plant. So, those two different varieties there, obviously somebody's going to need to rely more on the dispensary, stuff like that, versus being able to rely more on their own produce. And I think that's in gardening all the way around, period.
Yeah, and that locks home growers or medical home growers, so to say, into specific strains if they're growing for quantity, right?
Yeah, and we forget about the edibles thing. It's you can't take an ounce of bud and really make a whole lot of edibles by the time you get done concentrating it down and turning it into butter and everything else.
It's so perfect way.
And Nathan, even more so is topicals. So that'll eat up your limit too, and it's even harder to make. Who can make topicals? Not too many of us. I mean, some of us might be able to make some butter. You know what I mean? But how are you going to do that? So
some of those rubs and stuff like that, and then keeping them compliant and keeping them in a position. I know we had some that there was a issue with mold happening inside the canisters or the containers and stuff like that, just because of the moisture levels of the topicals. So figuring out all those logistics is, a heck of a problem to deal with.
Yeah, it's just not feasible. And there's, if we can sell ounces a week, a month to recreational patients with very minimal pushback, it's kind of amazing to me, like, with all this pushback we had for sick patients, right? So much, just repeal after repeal. And, and the tax money has quieted everybody down, but yet patients are still treated poorly. And this whole industry, this whole thing was created for them. You know what I mean? And so it has to be fixed. I feel like that has to be corrected. The good news is, like, everybody I talk to, like all the dispensaries, all the business owners, the bud tenders, they're all for it. Everybody supports it. So I feel like there's probably a really good chance if we do it right. You know what I mean? I think we can get it. I really do.
Well, and I think one of the major important positions that we need to put forward is the research component as well for medical. I mean, there should be shouldn't be a real limit on how much we can donate or contribute towards a medical research project.
Right.
And obviously universities and patients and doctors and hospitals should be able to get involved. And so there should be some sort of component that we need to work on in the legislative session for that. Wouldn't you agree?
I would totally agree for that. Yeah. And even locally, like, you know, I feel like Montana, because of our small population, you know what I mean? And big activism, I think we have a chance to really be at the forefront of some of these programs, of pioneering some of this stuff, really, truly, if we wanted to, if we could get the legislature on board and cooperating, you know. But I would love to see just even studies on what's going on with RSO. And they don't, you know, don't even have to be federal studies, I suppose. If we can make them local through the colleges or something, it would be great, you know.
And I think through Bozeman and their medical program and stuff like that, I mean, you might be able to work something.
That's the thing about the universities and things like that. They receive federal grants and money from the federal government, and if they start conducting studies in substances that are not legally on a federal level, they will cut off the money from the federal government to those universities.
Well, the University of Davis in California, they do studies all the time. So
yeah, I
mean, they're funding them somehow, whether it's through their California's recreational programs or medical programs, or I really don't know, but I know that they do tons of studies.
They got like tons of dispensaries on campus that they're just selling weed to support to make up that federal money.
I think Alabama has the University of Alabama has a contract to grow medical cannabis and stuff like that. But we were also talking about Georgia, the pharmacy down there, just telling the feds go kick rocks. They're going to sell stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at what point do we look at that aspect too, that it's more important to just proceed forward medically and tell the feds to kick rocks, especially in the light of reschedule or deschedule. And we're having that conversation right now with the federal government. Apparently that's heading to the president's desk to be signed by whoever signs it. So, I mean, when it gets signed, how it gets enacted, how it gets rolled out would be interesting to see, and how much latitude we'll have in the medical world.
Yeah, I'm extremely curious. Because as far as I understand, and maybe Elizabeth, you can help shed some light, maybe, if it gets rescheduled to Schedule 3, wouldn't that, from what I gather, force dispensaries to start carrying pharmaceutical licenses in order to sell?
So. No. So I think, and I'm fairly sure that some Schedule 3s are over-the-counter products as well. I'll have to do a little bit more research, but I'm pretty sure that there are some. I think the first thing that is going to happen are studies. I mean, so I don't think anything's changing for my just guesstimation is at least 5 years, right? So, because they have to figure out what the hell they're doing. Okay, so we have this thing. So what is their goal, right? And in pharmaceutical world, it's one symptom, one pill, right? So how they try to figure this out, it's really not our problem. But I don't think recreational marijuana, that's a whole different thing. So you can't, I don't think you can put that genie back in the bottle simply because there's no way to enforce it. It's out, it's done. So you may have something that looks a little bit more like, it could be certain preparations. I'm excited for things like maybe they'll find something that will really help for seizures or MS and, on those levels. But I'm a little skeptical. I'm just a little skeptical that marijuana is going to work in the pharmaceutical industry like they think it will. Maybe I'm wrong. And maybe we'll get some, but I don't think it's going to change recreational marijuana. I think that there'll be certain things you'll only be able to get through the pharmacy for sure. And maybe they'll have limits on potency or something like that, or certain preparations. I don't know. I think it's going to be really more complicated than they realized. I mean, I'm all for descheduling myself, but that's probably not going to happen at this point. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting, but studies, I think, have to come first,
Yeah, Yeah, one step at a time too with politics, right? We can't. We got to take what we can get.
Yeah, I think the Schedule 3 thing will happen fairly quickly, just because there's so much of a push from it. One of the things that we dealt with back in the day quite a bit was the fact that the feds were reluctant to supersede the states in putting out their rules, and I think with a plurality of the states having some sort of rules in place, and one of the things we'll get into in the news tonight is that there's more states obviously enacting cannabis, and so I think the cascade of the amount of states that already have some sort of medical rules in place and some sort of recreational rules in place is going to play a big part in that, especially in the upcoming legislative sessions. The other thing that I think is going to be really important with that is the pressure that's going to be coming from a lot of these larger cannabis players and a large amount of the hemp producers and stuff like that. They obviously have a pretty big stake in what's going on right now, and whether that gets scheduled, whether they get included, whether or not the farm bill exemption stays in place. So that's going to be interesting to see.
A lot of money
out.
moving around.
Yeah, and so with money comes lobbyists. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think one of the things that people are overlooking though is how are we going to control contaminants and pesticides? When you talk about like federally, a reclassification and then medical grade cannabis, there's going to be a lot of logistical problems with that. Number one, we all know cannabis grows better just in small batches. It's just the way it is. It's just, how it is. You can grow decent cannabis in larger batches. Yeah, absolutely. But it's a lot tougher than people think. And a lot of times you have to spray or you have to use some sort of enhancement to keep things under control. So that begs the question, then what is safe, right? So it's a really big egg that I think people look at money. I think people look at, control, but I don't think people really realize how hard it's going to be to do this in some regards. You know what I mean? What the logistics of it, not rolling out like these implemented plans that they have, but how those plans play out. And so when you talk about people's health, that's got to be at the forefront, especially when you're talking about a Schedule 3 pharmaceutical drug. How do you make it contaminant free? How do you make it so pesticides aren't being consumed orally or combusted and inhaled? How do you do that? And how do you keep a consumer safe? So I don't know, it's going to be super interesting to see where we end up with that, because I think that's the next step right there is how do you advocate for people's safety in this?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think as we start to see more of a global market start to emerge as well, and markets coming from Canada and markets coming from Europe or vice versa from America to Canada or Europe or other markets throughout the world, there's going to be some interesting ground that we're going to have to find there. And it's going to be pretty awesome to see the next 5 to 10 years in the cannabis market and the cannabis world and how that plays out.
I agree.
I mean, I figured they'll just take a pool of all cannabis markets that already exist and have proven, methods of testing, and they'll pull those together, and then the federal government will look at them, and then whoever gets the most for their particular one that benefits them the most will be the one they wind up going with.
You would think that would be the case, but I mean, that is just definitely never the case. They will probably figure out the most asinine way.
Yeah, it was shockingly bad. How did they have to come up with a new way to be bad?
Right.
That's how it's going to be. Like, no one who came up with this.
Let's figure out how to get the horse to push with its head to push the cart uphill.
So we're going to end up testing completely different stuff. Then we're not even going to be testing for the things we're supposed to by the end.
It won't even make sense. That'll be the truth.
They're like microplastics, 0%. Like what?
But it's a foot in the
door.
But
I think I'm concerned it's more of a money grab than it is safety concern, right? So you look at what Montana's doing, and it's just a freaking money grab. And so I just see it as a way for the government to spend our money poorly once again, just on a bigger scale. That's also a concern of mine. So I don't know. The nice thing about marijuana is you can grow it pretty much anywhere. So,
well, and that's what I see. You have people who are growing it in their basements, in their bedrooms, in their grow tents and stuff like that. There's absolutely no testing involved whatsoever in that. And then you hear a lot of people as well. pushing go see the plug, or go see somebody else. There's no testing involved in a lot of these kind of situations. Not to say that, believe me, I know there's some people out there who are growing underground that grow some fire stuff.
Sure.
They're doing it the right way. They're doing it awesomely, but you still have that component. So how do we balance, making dispensaries, making grow operations, go through all of that and not, having the black market take over because there's too much onerous or burden on the particular legal operators that are happening in the market.
I mean, I think you have to just go back to the original prohibition. You have to go look back what happened with alcohol and just retrace some steps and see if that fits. You know what I mean? I wasn't born then. I'm old, but I'm not that old. So I don't really know how it all came together like I should probably. I probably knew at one point, but and maybe see how, because you don't see that there's no really like beer black market. You know what I'm saying? So why not? Why is there no beer black market? Well, we've got
Moonshine.
Moonshine's not even illegal in every place, though.
I mean,
You can sell a jar.
They're actually
within a small limit, and technically you can't sell a jar because
Right.
then that's a tax issue. You can produce, I believe it's up to like 100 gallons technically for personal use, but anything over that in production size can get you in trouble.
Well, and I think it's come with acceptance. If you think about where we were with
Oh.
prohibition, prohibition was around the 30s and 40s, and we steadily progressed through an alcohol society to where, it was illegal to produce a lot of these things. It was considered, bootlegging or whatever else. And then we started relaxing the laws a little bit. We started allowing for microbreweries, micro distilleries, things like that. And once we started accepting that and, Ace Hardware started selling brewery kits,
Mhm.
I think that sort of changed the dynamic. And I think that's same thing that's happening sort of with cannabis, when Elizabeth and I were first dealing with this, and I don't want to date us. You couldn't get an electrician to even talk to you about cannabis. You were just like, what? Cannabis? No, hell, get out of here. Bye. See ya.
Right.
Alarm
No.
companies, banking. I remember when we started the MTCIA and the money that we gathered up to actually start the lawsuit may or may not have smelled like marijuana really bad. And I walked into the bank, and it was the only time in my life I walk into a bank with a big ass cheese on my face, $117,000, and they're like, "Get the fuck out!" Like, bye, see ya, leave. I'm like, money, and they're just like, "Nope, not money."
No,
They're like, list. Your head.
Suspicious activity report is
Right.
what it's called, bro.
Oh,
Can
man.
neither confirm nor deny.
may or may not have been there.
And
Yeah.
Elizabeth may or may not have handed over a couple of big bags of cash, and gathered shit tons of signatures in the meantime. So yeah, it was a great time. They called it the Wild West back then, I believe.
And one thing they were really so when we talk about, Nathan, you probably remember the movie The Code of the West.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm gonna show that at Vibe one of these days because people need to know. But one of the things that was in there, I think it was Milburn that said it, right? Mike Milburn.
Yes.
Where they were scared of the power. They didn't want marijuana money because they knew there was big money in it, and they literally said then you could buy elections, you could buy judges, you could start shifting the power in the state. And they're not wrong. They were 100, but that was really a pivotal moment of truth in that movie when they talked. It just got caught on camera when they talked about like, yeah, we just don't want these people to be able to, I don't know, have any kind of power in the state, so.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty indicative of a lot of things that they tried to do. They tried to really stifle the market as much as possible. And they went against us on every single avenue that they could, but the voters of Montana over and over and over again significantly told them, like, look, we want some form of cannabis and we want some form of legalization here in the state of Montana, and we're going to keep it here. And I don't think a lot of people understands how many signatures and how many fights that it took to get us to this point to where they're now finally just like, hey, all right, let's figure out, rather than trying to create prohibition laws, how to create laws to make the industry work.
Ish. I mean, I would say ish on that. I mean, they definitely passed a law. Is it a good law? Absolutely not. You know,
And the
and
rules and everything in between are just absolutely stifling.
well, I think one of the things is it's still the same thing. So it's still people with a prohibition mindset looking for violations. So instead of hiring business people and attorneys and doctors and putting them on a board, or bringing them into the legislature for, work sessions or whatever it is, whatever that looks like, right? They've decided, oh, we want cops to enforce our law, our dispensary owners. We don't know anything about, the only thing we've ever learned about marijuana in our cop lives was to bust people for it. You know what I mean? We want them to, and it's just a horrible way to do it. The state doesn't have okay. So you guys all have to have SOPs. You have to have standard operating procedures on every little thing you do. If you're a manufacturer, as in your cultivation, when you're baking your cookies, whatever it is, and the state runs around with no SOPs. And we know this because every inspector has a different answer, and every person that answers the phone has another answer. And right. So the state is a joke. And until they get their shit dialed in, we're never going to have a functional law. You know what I mean? And so it's just time for people to start pushing back, a little bit. There's a lot, for y'all.
I agree with that. And I'll get behind that rally cry. One thing that I will say is that there is a person there at the CCD I recently had a conversation with, spent a lot of time on the phone with him. And I think he's a very open-minded person. I don't want to put his name out there until I get permission to do so. He has talked about the fact that he would like to come on the show and maybe express some good information from the CCD. But I think there is a sort of a shift to a more collaborative idea. And I did propose to him, maybe setting up some sort of an ad hoc committee or something like you were talking about with some like-minded people who can dial down the passion. We don't need somebody in there yelling and screaming around. We don't need somebody insulting the state. We need people who can really just bring the conversation home and really get the key points across. And so hopefully, we can include you and several other people like you were talking about and really get this done so that we don't have to keep fighting this issue. I think Montana's a little better than to keep dicking around with a legislative issue for 15, 16, 17 years now.
Yeah. And the problem is we only get to go back every 2 years. So it's not like it's a fluid change. It's always herky jerky and everything changes. And, and it's just ridiculous. Let's just dial it in. Let's make it work for everybody who wants to use the product, recreational, medically. And I think they were super concerned about everybody running to get a card, which clearly hasn't been the case, bringing it back to limits. We're definitely not seeing that at the clinic. You know what I mean? So, but there's a steady 15,000-ish people, between 14 and 15,000, which is pretty decent. It was about that in 2016, 2017. So,
well, there's 100% in this room. So
yeah, good job, guys.
When we get it to the state.
I'm pretty sure everybody in here goes to Alternative Wellness to get their card.
yes.
Oh, and aren't you doing a deal this fall?
We do deals. We have deals all the time. So we've got for our renewing patients, and we do stuff for new patients too, but we'll do the limit increase for you for $140 for the 8 ounces. So it's $20 off our even less than our regular prices. So basically the limit increase is free. And then $130 for veterans. And then if you're a new patient and you mention, hey, I saw your deal, we'll give you for, so $130. So it's significant savings for people. So
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And I keep saying I'm bringing back medical. People are like, how? I go, I don't know, but I'm going to do it. So,
It's the
Bring it
hope.
back.
It's the goal. Right?
I know so many of our customers actually have come in and say that they had medical cards, but they just weren't able to renew them for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Maybe the budget was too tight or, whatever.
I swear, if you're about to write, I'm bringing medical back. I
Yeah.
swear to God, I was
I
thinking
just-
it.
no.
Dude. I swear to God, you're gonna write a spoon for it.
Yes, I
Fucking A, dude. I do as soon as I see you pick up the pen, dude.
So I'm gonna write a cover song for you.
Perfect. We're bringing it back. Awesome.
Bring Nettie back.
We're doing it.
Those other clinics just don't know how to act.
That's right. They don't.
Get your Nettie on.
Yep.
But I think that tax and peds on a lot of people, that 23% in billings is hard for people, and it kind of just takes that medical card money away. So we're doing our best to help. But I also think like the card really does pay for itself. So if you spend, I think it's even, $10 a week, you still, on a gram a week, you're still saving significant money. You're paying for your card multiple times over at the tax. You know what I mean? So,
You don't even have to do the math on that. Trust me, these customers that are coming in spend plenty to that they should be getting a card.
Well,
I'm
and
like, please get a card.
Yes. I
At
think
$10 a week, you too can sponsor an American in Florida.
True.
for sure.
But
Okay.
speaking of limit increases and the amount saved on favorite strains, we can take a look over at our strain of the week.
Yeah, well, I suppose that leads me right into my question. Great segue, very smooth. No, I'm just kidding. Elizabeth, what's your favorite strain? We've been talking a lot about it, but we all love weed for what it is. What's your favorite strain and why?
I'll tell you I'm kind of fickle, so I like a lot of different things, but I'll tell you one that's been consistent for sure. Blue Dream is a great one. I don't do a lot of sativas, but that one's a really good one. I like, it's always a good to me. I'm growing some Granddaddy Purple right now.
So, some pictures and stuff. You'll have to get those sent over to us.
Yeah, for sure. I've got some too. And then, so I don't know. It just kind of changes. Everything changes, right? I like Gorilla Glue. But I like some of the older strains, but I like to just try it all. It's like limiting yourself on tacos.
Right. Yeah, kidding. You're 100% right.
The only problem with tacos is there's not enough taco carts.
Right.
Exactly. So it's the same with marijuana. I annoy the heck out. Well, not now, but when we started, like when all this started and you could get, whatever, I like to go in, and if you have good ass stuff, I want to try 8/8. I want to get an ounce of I want an ounce, but I want it 8/8. I know I annoy the budtenders, but then that's how I know it works for me, So, sorry guys.
Well, and like we found out through Steve and several other people, getting 8/8s, you can smoke all of those, but also mix them together. And some of that mixes are just phenomenal.
That's my favorite thing to do. I make it's great. I name them and everything.
Cakes. Oh yeah. You name them too. Oh man, we're going to have you on as a special guest one of these weeks. We do a regular mixology show where we recommend strains to try. So we'd love to have you for that, I think.
Cool. I'd love to do that. Yeah.
That would be super fun.
So, strain of the week, what we got out there, I think we've got some grape amethyst.
Mm-hmm. Brought to you by Taco Bell, man.
Brought to you by Taco Bell.
And that video literally just downloaded this.
It just downloaded, yeah.
All right, let's check it out.
All part of the plan.
Yeah. Purple haze, feel the blaze, sweet aroma in the air, grape amethyst. Roll it up and lose your cares, it's a ride on the cloud, floating by the pine, dirt road, starry nights, paradise, feeling fine. Crack a cold, take a sip, let the worries drift. Campfire stories while the joints they pass and lift. Laughing hard out of sight in this great lit night. Country life, green delight, everything's alright. Grape amethyst, skies feeling real high under southern skies where the eagles fly. From the hills to the valleys we ride. Grape amethyst, our country pride. Old guitar strumming rhythm, slow, lazy days. Picking strings, feel the zing, purple head haze. Rivers flow, canoe tip, smoking on the way. Summer breeze, harmonies, purple weed ballet. Sunset glow, amber light, Casanova feels buzz in the air. Serenade, nature's lovely yield. Plant the seeds, watch them grow. Purple harvest true, grape amethyst, life in hues, country sky so blue. Grape amethyst, skies feeling real high under southern skies where the eagles fly. From the hills to the valleys we ride. Grape amethyst, our country pride. Grape amethyst, skies feeling real high under southern skies where the eagles fly. From the hills to the valleys we ride. Grape amethyst, our country pride.
Alrighty, and welcome back. Hello, people in the chat. So we've got grape amethyst here, which is a unique hybrid strain resulting from a cross between diamonds and pearls and pearl Cadillac.
Those are both. So I think I can do just a spot. Those strains are by Lovin' in Her Eyes, and both of those base strains are by her as well. So if they're unfamiliar, that's probably why.
We've been like really trying to get that message out there to Lovin' in Her Eyes that if whoever wants to come on, we would love to have you and enjoy a conversation with you.
Absolutely.
So that grape amethyst, it features a stunning aroma profile, blending sweet grapes, blackcurrant, and berry smoothie with underlying hints of fermented grapes and chemical cleaner.
Wow.
A little bit of
Chemical
cleaner.
cleaner.
Lemon
Like
pledge.
in there.
The lemon pledge.
Is a lot. And I can tell you
A lot
from
of
personal
limonene.
experience, that is a pretty good description. That fermented grapes and chemical cleaner smell is so potent. It's like, I don't know. It's potent.
We've
How
got
about
some
the
of the
sweetness. You can definitely smell the sweetness on that bud as well.
yes.
Absolutely.
We've got some of that coming down, right?
Yeah. Oh no, not this round, but
There's some on the
Uh,
shelf right now.
in the second room we do. That'll be soon, but we do have some on the shelf right now, actually. Yeah. Oh, at both locations, apparently, at our Zoo Drive location and our Shepherd location.
Very
That is
nice.
true.
Yeah, it's a very, very popular one. I doubt we'll have it for much longer, to be honest.
Really good for focus. Not
Mhm.
super like a racy sativa, just gets you down to business. It's a good one.
Absolutely. And the grow on it is beautiful. It's
Yeah.
one of the prettiest plants I've ever seen.
Yeah, other than that dirty mimosa, that thing is
Oh my
sick.
God.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Anyways, we better get back to it. So what about those terpene profiles? How about that, Adam?
All right, so we're looking at, topping it out with the myrcene, which is providing that relaxing, earthy, musky scent and that said like sedative effect. Then you've got, of course, the limonene, which is coming in with that citrus cleaner kind of feeling right there. And then, of course, the caryophyllene, which adds that spicy, peppery note. Usually, depending on how it's blended, you won't taste quite as much pepper. I'm not a big fan of pepper myself. Other people love it, but it really is a good terp to have in that profile to add that kind of like stony, relaxed feeling in there.
Absolutely.
Like adding a little bit of curry every once in a while.
But a good curry, not spicy curry, not fuck up the toilet for the weekend curry. Like nice curry.
Just good curry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Says the man who just smashed Taco Bell.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a future.
I'm
That's future
apt
Adam's
to
problem.
Taco Bell, like you said. I've had many vertically challenged nights that Taco Bell has saved the day. So my stomach is equipped for Taco Bell. It was not ready for an entirely different region of food. It was like, no, what is this? Like it tasted delicious. Spice, great. Yes. No. Stomach was not ready for that.
Yeah. So the spice, talking about grape amethyst, you got that caryophyllene in there. That's going to give you that peppery.
Right.
And they also talk about that being somewhat anti-inflammatory.
Yeah, it definitely can carry some anti-inflammatory effects. In the case of eating, spicy foods, maybe look for some of that pinene. It's actually really well for the gastrointestinal, and things like that. So if you're rocking some acid reflux or something, or you're having a lot of people with Crohn's disease, they're looking at cannabis strains with pinene in them to really help them kind of get through and things like that. So,
it kind of brings me back to what Elizabeth was talking about earlier. Maybe one thing the pharmacy industry could focus on, single compound stuff, just pull those terps apart and figure out what makes them so special.
I think that Israel has done a lot of research on it over the last 20 years, and I think we just really need to start adapting it. I mean, there's a lot of, like she said, UC Davis, there's all kinds of research out of there. There's Patients Out of Time. They've done research for 15, 20 years now. And I think, it's just a matter of getting over the fear of, should we use it? To hell with that. We need to use it.
Right.
And so we need to start pushing it more aggressively, like she was talking about, on every level, is to say, look, you guys need to accept this. It needs to be socially acceptable everywhere, because everybody has accepted it everywhere. And we need to get to it.
I won't lie, the Rex Stoner inside me has this fun dream of being like, what if we could take like a limonene pill and be like, it doesn't matter what strain I'm smoking, it's always a sativa, baby. You know what I mean? Like, just toss some limonene back and smoke whatever you want.
I mean,
I think I
that
think
was-
we forget that all plants though have terpenes, right? So
Yes,
when you
yes.
talk about health and terpenes, a lot of that we could just get in our food. You know what I mean? If we go back, so many of us don't eat plant-based diets anymore, right? So
Enhance your
you
some
have to
mangoes.
get-
I was
Is that what
just
you're
about to say
saying?
mango. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
there was also just a recent study that they're finding THC and cannabinoids in other plants that are outside of cannabis. So
That would be
you know, I
interesting.
mean, that's one of those things that, I mean, yeah, you've outlawed cannabis, but guess what? This stuff over here, just as well.
These other plants are out here testing positive for cannabis.
They are testing.
Oh
that
shit,
they
man!
were
They're out there
smoking
getting
reefer.
high, man.
speeding and
Yeah.
testing positive for reefer.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna look it up because I'm kind of stoned and I don't want to make sure I didn't dream it, but I'm pretty sure I read that there's a study that says there are cannabinoids in breast milk.
Wow,
I believe that.
that's so interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up because I don't like just guessing, but I don't think I would have made that up. So I'm gonna look it up real quick.
That'd be a fun
Were
one
the
to do.
mothers using cannabis though? Because they did a test in Germany where they fed cannabis to cows and things like that, and when they milked the cow, the milk had cannabis in it.
Yeah, I mean, there's that aspect, but I mean,
So many
you
variables.
naturally produce cannabinoids,
Right.
And so if you think about the amount of pain and traumatic injury that goes to both the mother and the baby during the birth process, I would imagine that would give a large dose of cannabinoids to both the baby and the mother.
Right.
Just the cannabinoidal response that the system should give. The way that it was explained to me is like when you pinch yourself, you feel the pinch, but then you feel that numbness. The numbness that you feel rushing in, that's actually your cannabinoid system kicking in.
Interesting.
And creating that numbness. So,
It makes me, this whole conversation has kind of made me wonder. We've been complaining that there's not enough data and not enough science out there. We're going to come to a point very soon, I think, where there's too much fucking data and
Right.
too much science. No one's going to know anything anymore. And
you're gonna have to compile it all together at
Yeah.
some point, and put it into some sort of
a weed
utilizable
AI.
But it'll be really cool because we'll get to do human studies.
Yeah.
So
that is-
I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think we're just falling back into.
No, she said human studies, Adam. She said human.
Psychoactives too. Microdosing. I think there's a lot to be said about that. Getting back into nature and just into plant medicine in general. So
Absolutely.
And
that's
I also
the next
think
frontier.
that has to do with telekinesis as well, because that's part of our news.
Oh,
Ooh, sounds
okay.
like we're
well,
launching into news.
Well,
Dun, dun,
I guess we
dun,
could
dun.
probably head towards the news segment.
Where is it? I don't know.
This update's fresh and real. Tune in with Nate, it's the big deal. Cannabis news with Nate, let's go. Every story makes you glow. Stay informed, don't be late. Cannabis news with Nate.
All right, we're back with that news. So welcome back, Budcast listeners. This is your weekly roundup, and we're going to get right to it. So California is struggling against its illegal market. California's war on illegal weed rages on. Despite strict enforcement rules, it seems like all the illegal operators in cannabis are pretty hard to get rid of. And they're having a big difficulty in New York. They're having a big difficulty in other states. What I think, a lot of people are starting to experience, and hopefully we can start to get ahead of this curve in some of these states, is that overregulation is really pushing the black markets in a lot of these states. It seems like there's a pretty good drag race for people to open up companies, but then there's also a pretty good fast happening to a lot of people to open up black market entities, which really compete against what the regulatory structure is trying to do. And so, like Elizabeth was talking about earlier, how do we get to that point where we're actually getting public safety done, but also regulating the market well enough, but also allowing it to be free enough to where we're not constantly dealing with a quote unquote black market, which there really shouldn't be a black market. There should just be an open market for people to compete within the cannabis sphere.
That's a lot. That is a lot. I mean, you really have some valid points there, especially regarding the Elizabeth's point, which, going back again, I like the point she made where she said we need to follow the natural progression of how prohibition went with alcohol. And then you brought up that it just sort of relaxed over time, right? And we're seeing that now. Hopefully, we need to continue to see these laws relax as it gets more and more societally acceptable.
Definitely, for sure. And getting back to her point about cannabis and psychedelics. So in several states across the United States, November will be a pivotal time for cannabis and for psychedelics. So not only will cannabis be on the ballot in several states, including North Dakota and a few others for medical and recreational purposes, but there are quite a few who are looking to rewrite the books when it comes to psychedelic use and the ability to use mushrooms, the ability to use LSD or other things, and taking as somebody who, may or may not have had a felony at one point for less than a gram of mushrooms. I think this is long overdue, but, it's going to be interesting to see how many states really adopt this. And a lot of people are using it now for depression issues. They're using it for all kinds of different medical ailments. And so just looking at the medical aspect of it, I mean, how much do you think, Elizabeth, do you think this is going to play into maybe augmenting your guys' business, not only to cannabis recommendations, but also to psychedelic recommendations?
Yeah, I mean, some of our doctors have actually talked a little bit about it, but here's the thing. So then we got to put rules around it, right? And then you get, it's kind of like starting the whole ball of wax again. I would just like to see it like, remember in 2004 when we voted in a small cottage industry? There you go. So, bare bones, if doctors, because where's the source? And you know what I mean? So if doctors can say, yeah, if it's not illegal, and doctors maybe could say, we think this would work for you, and we can give you something that allows you to carry, some on you without interference. Do you know what I mean? So that if they were pulled over or something, they could at least say, but I don't know that I would want to see a whole nother program started around the use of psychedelic mushrooms. I think people should be able to consume what they want. I don't know.
It should just be free.
Yeah.
It should just be if you want, I mean, we've been doing this for a long time, but I think the state doesn't make much better most of the time, especially when it comes to personal freedoms. It's just let's just not make it illegal. And then if doctors want to say, hey, yeah, we might know a good source of people, the market will fill itself. We don't always have to ask for permission. I'm not, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I agree with you 100%.
And I think that would just be considered a supplement.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm more interested in maybe doing some ketamine therapy for PTSD. I think that in small doses can also help people. And that's definitely it's already a Schedule 3. So.
Yeah,
well, and I think, go ahead. Sorry.
I know there's studies being done in Montana regarding that. There's at least one doctor that I know of that is pushing extremely hard for ketamine trials in Montana. So,
well, and there are definitely patients out there who are actively taking ketamine treatments in Montana that, are out there, and they're doing it under conventional medical doctors right now. So I think the cannabis doctors, that could be something for them to look into as well. The one thing that I see as far as all of this going forward is that the openness to actually getting back to a lot of the natural medicines is pretty awesome. One of the things that we're seeing as well, though, is a lot of different rubs between the cannabis market as far as legal recreational cannabis and the hemp industry that's going on out there. And unfortunately, that played out in California for Cheech and Chong nonetheless. They took a hit, but this time it wasn't one that they really enjoyed. Their attempt to stop California's ban on smokable hemp products got shot down in flames, and unfortunately, they are not really convincing anybody there in California to really shoot that one down. So,
are you talking about like Delta 8 and stuff?
yeah,
like
yeah. So the
experimental
sort of the Wild
compounds.
West kind of products. I think they were pretty heavy in trying to push those in California in the gas stations and stuff like that. So, and that brings us, to a really, as Elizabeth was saying, that the testability and stuff like that. I mean, how do we keep some of these Delta 8 products that are actually causing more harm? They don't have pesticides, they don't have any things like that, but they're made with some products that probably aren't ingestible, and continue to promote a good, healthy market while keeping those out of the hands of people.
Absolutely. It's a tricky game.
Absolutely.
To fill all these requirements, isn't it?
Well, the best
Wild.
recent study found that cannabis oil is the secret to healing. In a recent review, has found cannabis oil might be the thing that helps your scrapes and bruises heal. Putting cannabis oil around the skin and the other areas may give and help with some regenerative properties and keep the elasticity of the skin going. They even found with burn victims and other things that those kind of topical oils, like Elizabeth was talking about from cannabis, might actually be the key to help regenerate some skin tissues and stuff.
So just rub a little weed on it instead of rub a little dirt on it,
Right.
So,
or maybe just rub your dirt weed on it.
Rub a little keef on it.
What kind of oil? What kind of oil? Are you talking like RSO oil or?
They don't. As far as this one, they were talking about topical ointments that was made with cannabis. So they didn't specify exactly what the ointment was made from. They just said topical ointments from cannabis. So we could certainly look into it a little bit further and figure out what they were dealing with. But I don't know that they were dealing specifically with RSO.
Right.
So if you slice your arm or something, just squirt a syringe of disti right down in the middle of it.
No distillate.
Just stick it.
Glue it
Just
together.
stick it.
Like super glue
It's
it.
the super glue.
How else are you supposed to stop bleeding? Come on.
And we have to use that segment to say we do not give out medical advice. This is for educational purposes only. We are not doctors. We are not lawyers. We're not even people who played one on TV.
But if you squirt distillate into an open wound, let us know how that turned out for you. Just to burn.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the one time that Johnny injected his marijuanas, and it did not work out well.
I mean, you might get really stoned. I don't know.
Or it might work out really good. You don't know.
It might not burn. It might actually really help. It might soothe it. You never know. It might be like aloe vera.
Or you might be the dude running around the damn neighborhood in your underwear screaming like, it's on fire.
Yeah, it won't stop. But just let us know, if you do. But we're not telling you to.
Nope, we would never do that. Do not try this at home.
Well, talking about people telling people what to do, Willie is telling people down in Dallas, get your shit together and vote for cannabis down there. Decriminalize cannabis in Dallas and in Texas. He wants everybody down there to smoke one before Willie goes. And
We
so
actually
he's
had a
asking
viewer
them to
earlier.
hook it up.
We had a viewer earlier. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. From Texas, or that was just talking. It was quite a while.
Oh, yeah,
ago. You might
Nieto.
have-
Yeah.
Yeah. David, I think.
Yeah, David
Yeah,
Nieto. Yeah.
Yep, he was talking about all of those Texas Budcast viewers showing up out there to vote and make a difference. in
We
the cannabis
appreciate
community.
everybody out there in Texas and including across the world. We've got some people over there in Saudi Arabia and a couple other countries that are tuning in over there. It's pretty exciting to see.
Australia, England, Saudi Arabia, India, 4 in Cameroon.
4 in
Four in
Cameroon.
Four,
Cameroon.
dang, it's like a group of nerds together. Like, yo, check it out. Hey, group of nerds, how's it
We
going?
appreciate you, Cameroon.
Make sure you're bringing good weed knowledge to Cameroon.
Speaking about things across the pond, and this is the last thing we'll talk about tonight as far as the news. German adult use market hits a bit of a snag. Germany's plan to roll out adult use cannabis is facing unexpected delays. The second phase, which should open up broader access, is hitting regulatory roadblocks.
God damn it. Tear down this wall.
Damn bureaucracy in Germany.
What's going on, too? That really riled him up.
Whoops.
So yeah, anyways, it looks like Germany, I mean, they're just running into all kinds of bumps over there. I think they had some weird crazy shit with their ounces and stuff like that. They could only have like 26 grams. They couldn't have 28 grams. Unlike Ohio and their tenths,
Yeah.
like the Ohio tenths.
Yeah, you can have 2.8. Like, where the fuck did you land on 0.8? Like, how did you cut? Like, not even 2.5.
Some
just
fucking
2.8.
tax motherfucker was sitting right there going, you know what? We're gonna make more money if it's 2.8.
Fucking 2.8.
Well, how did an ounce turn into 800 milligrams?
That's a great question.
Absolutely great question. And like, how did it turn into you could only have 80 milligrams or 100 milligrams or whatever? I mean, yes, I get it. We should have some sort of dosing and methodology, but at the same time, I mean, we're not dealing with, 500 milligrams of aspirin or, 800 milligrams of fentanyl.
No.
I mean, we're dealing with you're going to go to sleep or eat the damn Taco Bell.
Well, you can still buy 8 packages.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, well, and going back to,
I would like to eat a Taco Bell and go to sleep. Both, yes, please.
everybody wants to eat Taco Bell and go to sleep. But yes, you're right. I mean, instead of buying one single gram cartridge, you can buy half-gram cartridges,
Right.
and basically get the same effect.
Right.
So
By
Yeah,
the same
it
amount,
doesn't-
you're still,
Yeah,
but you're
you
buying
can-
more.
Some of the
material.
legislation
Just
doesn't
putting
make
more
it.
trash in the environment.
Yeah.
Know?
Mhm.
well, we better have Elizabeth give one more plug out there for that fall crawl. And thank you for joining us.
We still have this.
Go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, get your tickets, guys. Do the VIP. It's fun. We're gonna have a good time. We've got vendors set up. Mama Homemade it's coming out. She made some t-shirts for us, so we're gonna have a good time. 2 bus tours for VIP Saturday, 10 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. So that'll be fun. And then, of course, you don't need to do anything. You don't have to pay. You can just go. Sneak peek is Thursday. I can't believe it's coming up so fast. So sneak peek is this coming Thursday from 4 to 8. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday during regular business hours, you can go in, which most places is 10 to 8. I mean, some places are 9 to 8. And get your 20 stamps. Bring it back, and we'll get you into a raffle. This thing's fun. There's a lot going on. So we've got a lot of great dispensaries. I'm super excited. We've got a lot of new ones this year. So it's been good.
Absolutely awesome. Well, we'll be right back with Elizabeth as soon as we get
We
into
lost
those.
camera one.
I was going to say, where'd it go? Where'd you guys go?
As soon as we get into those stoner trivia questions over here with
Yes.
Tanaki.
All right. I got a new intro.
Smoking like a rasta, feeling so high. We talk about cannabis and getting fly. Are you smarter than a stoner? Let's find out. Listen up,
B, the
my
plant's
friends.
flavor
I
and
got
aroma
something to
compounds.
shout. Cannabis
C, the plant's
knowledge,
fibers.
let it flow through your mind. Getting blazed, smoking loud, we all unwind. Trivia questions, can you keep up the pace? Let's see if you're sharper in this smoky haze.
Go ahead.
Alrighty, welcome back. Sorry about that.
You guys
Um,
scared me.
Couple questions in the chat, and Daniel said he is going to answer those for you.
Yeah. Well, and maybe Elizabeth can go into this maybe on the timing and stuff a little bit, but Daniel L, welcome, new to the channel from YouTube. We're happy to see you. How many patients? So in Montana, a medical patient is not tied to a specific provider anymore. They're allowed to buy medical marijuana from any medical dispensary. So at one point, that is how it works, though. Is that right?
The tether.
We were tethered, correctly. And you could only change through a state process.
Yeah. So there is no limits on patients anymore, Daniel.
That was a history.
That is part of the weed history, though. And then we do have Queen Q's. Hey, how's it going? And we got Rocky Stone, Kylie Stamp, Trevor. We got a bunch of people up in the chat tonight. Thanks for sharing your love out there, showing those likes, shares, and all that. All right.
All right,
Tanaki,
are we
take it
ready?
away.
Let's bring it up.
So here we go for Are You Smarter Than a Stoner?
First question.
Question number 1. What is the significance of the decarboxylation process in cannabis consumption? And what specific changes occur during this process? A. It increases the bioavailability of terpenes. So THCA and CBDA are converted into water-soluble forms. B. It converts CBD and THC when exposed to prolonged heat or light, or into THC. Sorry, excuse me. C, it reduces the plant's chlorophyll content. Cannabinoids become more potent. Or D, it activates the psychoactive compounds. THC is converted into THC, and CBDA is converted into CBD through heat application.
Everybody got it?
Everybody got
Everybody?
Someone
Someone's got
stole
that.
my sticky notes.
Someone stole your sticky note?
Gene
They
marker.
got wet.
Oh, wait.
Oh, man.
Here you go. There's a there.
I knew you were gonna hit it too. It's like guaranteed.
So what do we got on the
See a
chat? I'm
couple
seeing
answers in
D.
Tanaki,
I see a C.
C and a D.
Calvin, what up, buddy?
There we go.
Weird computer noise. Anyone else hear that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I got D, C. We got some D's
See
in
D's
here.
in chat or in
Studio.
studio. Dang. D is going to be the correct answer.
I say we're somewhere. We could be in the chat.
We got smart. Ooh-wee.
What's up, Calvin? What's up, Ty?
Yeah, go guys. Calvin always making it just time for stoner trivia.
Hell yeah. Number 2. What role do flavonoids play in cannabis, and how do they differ in their effects from cannabinoids and terpenes? A. Flavonoids enhance the color of cannabis strains, but have no direct impact on the effects. B. Flavonoids contribute to the entourage effect by providing antioxidant and anti-inflammatory benefits distinct from cannabinoids and terpenes. C. Flavonoids are responsible for the pungent aroma of cannabis, while terpenes have no olfactory impact. Or D. Flavonoids control THC conversion during the curing process, unlike cannabinoids.
Am I going blind or our answers just smaller this week?
They're very.
I was sitting there
small.
looking. I was like, "Fuck, am I tripping?"
You are getting old though.
Is it the psychedelics?
Oh, yeah, you cannot see it on my forehead.
Going with B.
Boop.
B.
Bees all around. Bees all around.
Bud. Smoke. You said C.
I did.
One of these stoners is not like the other.
Yeah, I know. I didn't really think about the answer too much, obviously.
Number 2 is B.
Woo!
B. Oh, I lost
Now you're
my
throwing
B.
stickies at me.
I'm just B.
Yeah, Daniel, you can reach out to us at the 406. Well, sorry, it's just 406 Budcast Corporate at gmail.com, man.
Yep. hit us
And
up.
we're actually going to be doing some pretty slick giveaways next week, man. We've got a Luca Seahorse and then the Weed Wars pack over there, man.
We totally forgot to come back around.
Well,
Yeah, we
you know,
did.
after we get done with our questions, we can definitely show that off. The Weed
Right
Wars pack that will probably come. That seems like it's wrong.
Number 3. Sorry. What causes cannabis plants to display foxtailing during the flowering stage, and how does it affect the overall quality of buds? A. Foxtailing occurs due to light stress or heat stress, resulting in elongated, irregular buds that may have lower aesthetic appeal but don't always impact potency. B. Foxtailing is a genetic trait that leads to denser buds. It increases the overall potency of the plant. C. It is a result of overwatering during the flowering stage. Buds become looser and less potent. Or D. Foxtailing occurs when humidity is too high, leading to bud rot.
Go in A.
Hey.
Q&A.
Drop those answers in the chat, guys.
Everybody in the chat say, or everybody in the studio saying A.
Indeed.
What do you got out there in the chat?
Calvin saying
I
A.
was dropping the other A.
I like to imagine someone did an experiment where they had super cold lights, but every night they put like a heater right above the plants just to be like, see, it's not just light stress, it's heat stress too. Anyways.
The correct answer is A.
Right on, right on.
Number 4.
I'm on it.
Which
Okay.
metabolic pathway in cannabis plants is responsible for the production of cannabinoids? And how can a grower optimize this path during cultivation?
Yeah, I don't know this one.
Oh man. Okay. A, the Calvin cycle, optimized by providing high levels of CO2 during the vegetative phase. B, the terpenoid pathway, influenced by increasing nitrogen intake and adjusting soil pH. C, the mevalonate pathway, enhanced by maintaining optimal phosphorus levels and adequate UV light exposure.
Damn. You read that like a professional, by the way.
Thank you. I had to pause and like try and sound it out beforehand.
Hard ass word.
Or D, the shikimic acid pathway, improved through low stress training techniques and careful watering practices.
That's a tough one. I don't know the answer to this, but I've got a guess. I've got to guess, an educated guess. Wow. All of us said a different answer.
So Adam says A, Daniel says C, Nate says B. What do we got over here?
I was going to say C too.
Honestly, I
Calvin says C.
see. I'm gonna say C.
I don't know.
All right,
So,
come on, guys.
we only got one person playing along out there. That's sad.
Elizabeth,
But
do you have
thank
a
you.
guess?
Thank you, Calvin.
Yeah, I'm gonna say A.
Hey, okay.
Yeah.
The Calvin cycle. Calvin, I'm surprised you're not voting for that one. It's named after you, obviously.
There we go, Jorge. Thank you. He also guesses C. Okay, so we've got a couple of C's, but we have everything. It's going to be the one answer that no one has said yet.
No, it is C.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Wow.
The mevalonate system or pathway.
Man, I did not know that. I only guessed because I kind of knew that you can control some of the THC content in cannabinoid production with UV light exposure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I figured that might have something to do with it.
What the fuck? I chose the one answer without pathway in the answer. Son of a bitch.
When in doubt, it's always C.
True.
That's true.
No,
That's true.
it's not B, it's B.
Yes, usually actually I go for B.
He just got here. He didn't even listen. He's like, I just guessed C.
C.
That's a good guess. All right. Daniel said he's in trim jail tonight, by the way. We all feel you.
Ooh,
Trust
buddy.
us.
Oh, we just got out of it to come here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Trim jail.
Been in it all week.
The bondsman came early.
So the final question, number 5. Why might a cannabis cultivator choose to use a scrog setup, and how does it improve plant yield? A. Scrog helps reduce plant height in small grow spaces by using a net to train the plants horizontally, increasing light exposure to lower buds. B. Scrog accelerates the vegetative cycle by providing nutrients more efficiently to the roots through a mesh net. C. Scrog increases humidity levels during flowering, preventing leaf damage and enhancing terpene production. D. Scrog encourages faster nutrient absorption by providing direct access to CO2 and light through the canopy.
Shit. It's all no sticky.
No one's sticky notes are sticking. A. Ah!
Ah!
Ah! Okay, sorry
Looks
about that.
pretty consistent across the
bunch of
board.
A's in the
A's
studio.
through
Ah.
the video. We got a D in the chat. A in the chat.
I can understand why you would guess D.
The correct answer is A, though.
Yeah. I could see how you could argue that with scrogging properly, you should have better airflow, which would maybe if you were also supplementing CO2. But really, the point is I think, which is that you're spreading that light out over all of the plant instead of just the top
Which
two
one was the one
nodes.
that did really great with that, and the other one that did not?
Yeah.
Two that we
The
tried that on.
blueberry muffin did really good. She really liked that, and then that blue dream did not.
The dirty mimosa also like being spread out pretty well.
Mhm.
Yeah, she did.
Indeed. It's very plant specific what they can handle, what kind of UV exposure they can handle.
Dude, speaking of that dirty mimosa, though, I've been privileged with smelling those jars while we've been burping. Holy shit! Yesterday it smelled like cinnamon toast crunch cereal milk, and then today it smelled like mimosas, like orange juice and champagne, really citrusy. It's really
like
Dirty
you
cool.
open the
mimosas
jar.
started to smell like mimosas.
Crazy.
You opened the jar and thought you would find an orange peel in there. It was just so heavy on the citrus.
Oh, it was so good. Oh,
Yummy.
sad to see that cereal milk go, though. I was really excited to smell that.
There's some strains called cereal milk that like really hone in on that smell and flavor. I don't know. That seems kind of weird to me. I don't want it to taste like milk
No,
personally.
I'm an old school. Like I like the skunk. I like the the really good earthy tones. I mean,
Flowers.
do like some of the berries and some of those, but mostly I just like that good, nice like old school cannabis flavor.
Me too.
Usually I kind of lean for gassy or like diesel-y flowers. Those are usually my go-tos.
How about you, Elizabeth? What's your favorite?
Oh man, I don't know. I like them all. I definitely like the citrus for sure. And then anything that has that dirty skunk smell, I'm gonna be partial to if you can find it. You know what I mean? So just depends. The nose. I believe I like to buy by smell. So
Absolutely.
Heck yeah. Fruities always get me.
yeah.
Well, we need to show off some of these giveaways, huh?
True.
Yes.
Great idea.
Here. Which camera are we going to?
Oh, we
Camera
can go
one.
to
Camera one.
camera two.
Boom.
Sit
The
closer,
seahorse.
the seahorse.
So-
The full setup.
It's got a stand.
Lucas
Yep.
Seahorse, it's the all-in-one. So it's got the stand. It also has the bong attachment. So that little green hose that you see, if you slide it over just a little more, Daniel,
Looking at my fingernails.
you're gonna actually see that it attaches straight to your bong and then to the Seahorse, and then you can touch that down into your dabs and have one hell of a rip.
I believe it says it has 8 modes on it. Combination mode 1, 2, 3. Yeah, like there's six different ways you can do it.
And this we're giving away next week. Is that right?
Yeah, next week we're going to be giving this item away, so you guys are going to have to tune in order to win.
And then we're also going this guy next week.
So the week after, we'll be giving away the Weed War kit that we have there.
Got a little tray, little metal pipe, which don't see too often anymore. We
Got
get
some,
asked about those a
some
lot.
Grogu get up if anybody out there has following Star Wars.
For real, Grogu done turned to the dark side and started smoking weed, bro. Like,
I'm pretty sure he was green to begin with, bro. Like, I mean,
Yeah, he just went back
He-
to the green side.
the Jedi were always smoking pot. I mean,
what is it? Blunt Man and Chronic, dude.
you got to spend like what 100 years in a damn swamp. You ain't smoking something or eating some shrooms.
Probably. I'll definitely eat mushrooms.
I mean, I'm
that's
just
why
saying.
Yoda was talking like that, bro. he just ate so many mushrooms, he just couldn't come back from the talking that way. Yeah.
Well,
Sure.
Yeah,
I think it's about that time, folks,
Yeah,
that we get wrapped up for the night. And
Thanks for joining us tonight, Elizabeth. That was awesome. Great having
Thanks for
you.
having me. It was a lot of fun.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Just one more time
Love to get
about
you out here in the studio.
time and hour.
Definitely next time for sure. I'll have to have. I hate driving at night. It's just so yucky. So
Understandable.
for
Thank
sure.
you all out there, all of you viewers, for liking and sharing and all of those beautiful things. We appreciate each and every one of you. All of you followers on Facebook who make it all happen for us. We appreciate all of that. Make sure you're passing the word along to your friends.
Everybody out there
Absolutely.
on
You guys have a
Twitch
great one.
and all other platforms, we greatly appreciate you. Stay lifted.
Don't forget to hit that like, follow, subscribe, and share button. And with that, everybody have a great night.
Right.
Bye,
Do
everybody.
or do not. There is no trying the mushrooms.